Hello, and welcome back to episode 12, Dragons and Demons podcast. So, episode 11 discussed progress, how things were going, gave a little update on what I was eating, how my workouts were going, the results I was getting, the way I was feeling after all that. I will plan on doing that periodically just to kind of keep myself accountable and keep the momentum going and reflect on all that I'm learning, all that I'm doing, and all the advancements I've made. So, I will do that again for accountability. I like to put that out there so that I'm not just promising to myself quietly and secretly and all the changes that I make. I want people to know so that I can kind of use people's judgment against me. And if I were to cheat on a diet, those feelings of people looking at me and know I'm messing up, that helps kind of gear me in the right direction. Probably not a sane idea, but it is what it is. It helps me, and I'll continue doing it. So this episode, I'm interviewing a great friend, a mentor, someone I've always looked up to. I can't say enough about this person. They are incredibly creative when it comes to business and marketing, and they are very successful in where they've come from. So watching this person kind of develop their business from the ground up, all the way back from the beginning of the ideas that he would explain to us, and people around him were like, all right, man, I guess I'll believe it. We'll have to believe it when we see it. And all right, we'll see. I mean, don't get too crazy now. And kind of seeing the success that he's brought up to now is, wow, well, I guess I should have been a believer since day one. Someone that always kind of promised that they would hire me if I ever needed the opportunity. Haven't needed it, but always appreciated. And with that, let's get into the next interview. Here we go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Dragons and Demons podcast, the podcast about real motivation. So today I have on a great guest, a great friend of mine that's kind of been a childhood friend and someone that I've looked up to for a very, very long time. Today I welcome on the show Anthony Latino. How you doing, Anthony?
Thanks, Kev. I appreciate that. I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Good. Oh, great. You know how it is. 2 kids driving you crazy. One got sick. The other one got sick right after, and me and the wife are just trying to fight it off ourselves. So that's our life.
That's pretty much every week for us as well with the 2 girls.
Right.
Yeah.
So Anthony here is a business owner, business creator, and I mean, again, someone who's just has such a creative mind when it comes to doing new and different things. And why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and kind of how your career got started before we dive into the business side of things.
Sure. So I live in Downingtown, here where you grew up. Started my business when I was 20 or 21 years old. So my main business is IT. So I do anything computer related. We support, multiple companies daily, basically, we're their help desk. So that's like the gist of primarily what I do. More on my background. I'm married with 2 kids. I have 2 daughters. They're going to be 5 and 3 this month. Stella will be 5 on the 19th, and Gigi will be 3 on the 30th. We share a birthday, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
And I'll be 40. So.
Dang, you're old.
Yeah, big 4-0 coming up, man.
There it is. So, yeah, again, so you kind of grow up, and then the reason we got introduced is you became pretty good friends with my brother, and I was always that kid just kind of tagging along with Big Bro, and that's kind of how we met, and I mean, we've been around each other a lot, and you were always that IT kid that kind of always knew the best apps when the new CDs were dropping, when the new video games were coming out, and how to tweak and modify things to make it more beneficial for all of us. So we all appreciated that, being in the know. So how did you know, like at what point did you know IT was the route for you?
I was one of the lucky ones. So I knew from an early age that I wanted to do something with computers. So I was actually just telling the story today to my assistant. I said, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but back when I want to say 5th grade, my dad was a chaperone on a field trip. He doesn't remember this story, but it was at the Franklin Institute, and it was right when the internet first came out, dial-up internet. And of course, shocker, me and my dad missed the seminar that was supposed to be in the planetarium, if you will. And to the left of the planetarium, there was an auditorium full with brand new computers with the internet. No one knew what it was at the time. The whole visit was based around tech. I don't know how it worked, divine intervention, whatever you call it. But I remember sitting there for like a good hour with my dad, just trying to figure this thing out. And I just, right off the bat, I'm like, this is so cool. And maybe a month or two after that, my parents went to Sears and we bought our first computer. I remember going to the department store that day. And I mean, they're expensive now, but back then, like, to spend that kind of money on a personal computer was insane. And
What kind was it?
it was a Packard Bell, which now is
I don't
HP.
even know what that is. Oh,
HP
okay.
is Hewlett Packard, so Packard Bell.
Gotcha.
Um,
I just remember
but
the
yeah, I
gateways
remember.
and the cow print boxes.
Yep, yep. So I remember getting it home and putting in all the CDs and running all the apps, and there was a lot of really cool things. And my parents were at the neighbors. They probably weren't even gone that long, and I took the whole thing apart. My dad came home and he was so angry. He's like, "We can't afford another one. I can't like that's it. Like, sorry, it's done. We can't fix this thing, whatever." So I started putting it back together, and when you know it, I got it working again. So um, I was probably 10 years old, and I knew then uh, that's what I wanted to do. Um, my dad's brother also had like older laptops, and he gave me an old one. I mean, they were still, I don't know how he had so many at that time because they were expensive, but maybe from work or something. But he gave me one, and I started messing around with DOS, and he had floppy disks, and I would play games on it. So I was lucky. I got like thrown into it pretty quickly, and I knew right then and there I had to do something with computers.
For all you high school kids out there, a floppy disk is that little square thing that looks like a save button. That's what that's based on. That was what we used to use before CDs, and they were very, very small. You could fit like what, two songs on one, if you were lucky, if they were short
If you were
songs.
lucky, I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking, the little 3.5 inch floppy disk. They didn't hold much. So,
yeah,
uh, but no, yeah, I mean, I fell in love off the bat, and I knew that's what I wanted. So I geared basically my entire middle school and high school career on wherever I could find computer courses. I took them.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't even focus on my main education. I mean, I knew what my path was and I went for it. And like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm lucky also that my parents let me be me and they entertained that idea because how parents can be. And but no, they encouraged me from the get go. So I was lucky in all around.
Awesome. So fast forward to now, like 30 years later. So talk a little bit about your company and what your company does and what's the name, and drop it all out there for us.
Sure. Company name is Uneek Computer Services. We're located in downtown off Route 113. We're a pretty
That's
good size.
Uneek, unique, just like the
Yep.
name.
Yep. Website's u-neek.com. Yeah, we're in a prime location here in downtown on Route 113. I bought the property back. I've probably been in here maybe 4 years now. Um, it was a scary time. I bought it right when COVID became a thing, and I thought I was going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Biggest purchase of my life, other than my home. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been in business. It'll just about 18 years. Started at 20 or 21, um, and just if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. Now that does change. We all
Yeah, I
it's
don't
all
know how
good,
true
right?
that.
We all have our days. People will wear you down. But for the most part, I love what I do. Um, Primarily, we do hardware repair, and but our main business focus is business to business. So uh, our day-to-day operation, our main focal point is commercial support. So we're basically if a company doesn't have a help desk or an IT department, that's where you would hire a company like ours to come in and manage accounts, networks. We even have a whole marketing department, so we have a whole website design aspect of what we do as well. So we don't just do IT support, we also do marketing, which gives us the edge because a lot of companies that are in IT don't do both. So it actually really has helped me grow. Um, and let's see. Yeah, I mean that's primarily what we do. I've always learned that um, like my staff here is fantastic. My philosophy always was hire for personality because that's something you can't teach, and you want to make sure you have good people around you because you're only as good as the people you keep. And I kind of live by that. So we have a really close group of people that work here, um, and I let everybody have a voice and give feedback and try to add to it and make things better. So um, always got to be open minded and willing to learn every day.
Yeah. So this company that you have has been around for 18 years. So where did you kind of get the start of the idea for Uneek?
I was working down in Center City. It was my first real crack at an IT job. My uncle was a IT director um, of the company, and he got me in as an intern, and they hired me. And it wasn't for me. Corporate wasn't for me. I probably could have had a career there, but being the young guy, bright-eyed, wanted to dive into everything, they started sending me out every weekend to different states to do deployments. And that got old pretty quick. I was tired of traveling. I was 21 trying to go out and see my friends and, enjoy life a little bit. And it was hard to do when I was, you know, in North Carolina one week, Virginia the next week. It was weekend after weekend. So I decided that wasn't for me. And I remember talking to a colleague. I said, I think I'm going to start my own business. My father has been in business for 20 plus years at that time. I said, I've always interacted with customers. He'd bring me in, into people's homes when he'd go out and do service calls. So I really liked interacting with people and trying to understand what their needs were and trying to apply to that. So it's not what he wanted for me. He always said he didn't want me to be a business owner because it really drains you. Um, but I fought it, and finally, I started my own business. He was supportive, but
Right.
he didn't want that life for me because he knows what
I mean, when
roller
you
coaster.
guys were building that place, he was up in there every single day putting stuff together and helping out. So he's definitely supportive.
Yeah, no, both my parents have been extremely supportive the whole way. Um, like I said, encouraging. Like I wouldn't be here without them. But yeah, just being around other entrepreneurs, uncles, close friends. I've had a lot of really good mentors. Um, I knew I wanted to be self-employed because sky's the limit. You get anything you put into it. You want to work extra time, you can make more money, and yeah, I mean it's yours. So I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think I started at a good age. I think
You
as
had that
hard.
youthful energy that you could have hit, that you were ready to conquer the world. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So that was super helpful. Being able to do it at an early age and just having that energy and that drive and not needing to sleep, no family.
right,
Uh, Living in my parents'
right.
basement, didn't really have overhead at that time, so it really kind of all worked in my favor. And I was lucky. I got linked up with a couple good agencies in the area. My buddy worked for a sports marketing agency, and I got to actually do websites for professional athletes for quite some
That's
time.
right. I
So I
remember that.
got to go to player parties. I got to interact with those guys pretty much on a regular basis for quite some time. And so that was really cool. But being young, they're like, hey, we'll give you a couple signed jerseys to do this website, or some autographs. Like, yeah, that
Yeah, I'll
sounds good.
take it.
Yeah, let me go to some parties and whatever, live it up, and that's all I need. But now you get wiser, and you're like, those things are cool, but it doesn't pay the bills, so.
Right.
Uh, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember interacting at that age when I'm like 12, 13 years old and just super into video games and talking to you and hanging out at your place and you being like, man, I'm going to have this business one day and you need to come work for me and we can hang out and play video games all day. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Now it's probably not video games all day, I'm sure, but I'm
I
sure your
wish.
people have a lot of fun though.
Yeah. We do have a good time. We have our days where it's nonstop. Foot to the pedal. But I have a couple really close friends that work here for the company, which makes it more enjoyable. I have a
Right.
buddy here that just started a little less than a year ago, actually. But I've been friends with him since I was 7, 8 years old. So I'm a firm believer to keep people around that you can trust and you don't have to worry about, and that are willing to work at things, and you have that mutual respect. It goes a long way.
Right.
So
That
there's a
that
balance
trust
for people.
that that trust is so underrated, and I experienced that in the coaching world. And you can't really trust people a whole lot with things, and hope it gets done, and then there's a little bit of a blind leap there, but then that trust grows and develops, and it turns into something fun. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's how some of the best relationships are born. Just through friendships. My assistant was my girl's babysitter. Um, so when Stella was born, she lived in the neighborhood, and I said, her mom, I said, is she old enough to babysit? And she said, yeah. So she's been babysitting my kids for, almost 5 years. So we got really close. And I said, listen, you looking for a job? I said, I trust you with my kids. I can trust you with my other baby too.
right.
Uh, she's been doing fantastic. So it translates. Relationships
Mhm.
are important. I mean, as long as you've known me, I've always networked with people. I've always,
Right.
I got lots of different groups of friends and people that I'm cool with that are all different type. I mean, I can
Right.
kind of get along with anybody. So it's important to network and to put the time in with people and get to know them. And, maybe you can interact and throw them a bone, every once in a while if you guys can cross paths in what you do. Like, look at, we're getting to do this podcast right now, which is really cool.
Right.
Uh, so I'm all about trying to work with people I know.
So what has like been your drive? What's been your driving force as you've grown this business? I mean, most people kind of hit a rut after the first few years, and they run through some adversity. So what's the thing that kind of keeps you moving forward?
Well, a lot like you. I mean, I watch your podcasts. I've
Thank
had
you.
a lot of people doubt me,
Yeah.
and I don't know where that comes from. Teachers, just people
Jealousy.
jealousy, just for whatever reason saying you can't do something. Nothing drives me more.
What I've experienced is a lot of people have tried things like this, and they've tried to be successful in some of the areas that you might be in. For me, it was coaching, and some people have tried things and they just got frustrated and quit. And then when somebody else came in with fresh energy and fresh ideas, they were like, "Won't work. Promise you won't work." And then they just became the haters. And I
Well,
was
you
like,
gotta
"Well, I
have
have
that.
more energy than you have, so I can outlive you for sure."
I'll perform it. Yeah, you know if you're that X factor, you know what you bring, and you know I think a lot like I watch a lot of like motivational speakers and just videos and things like that. Like the drive that like Kobe Bryant had.
Mamba mentality.
That's me.
Yep.
Like tell me I can't do something, and I will show you 10 times over that I can, and I'll do it better than anybody.
Right.
Maybe I don't get it the first few times, but I'll get it. And if it takes me longer than my goal that I had set forth, so be it. Maybe my goal is a year and it takes me 2 years. It's not going to stop me. It's not going to take me off my path. So a lot of that motivated me early on, but then when I got married and then I had my girls, I mean that's super motivating. I just want to give them everything that I can. It pushes me every day, even when I have my tough days, and I've had my share of those as of late. But you just keep pushing through. I mean, um, I am my best friend and my own worst enemy at the same time. So um, you just got to keep pushing, man. So I don't know. I can be my own motivator. People can be my motivator, but I find it. I definitely find it. So
So what demons, part of the show is dragons, having the dragon, that big thing to chase, the goals, the aspirations, and it's kind of an endless chase. But there's also the demon part of this show where there's something that's always chasing you, something that was always trying to slow you down, something that's trying to hold back. So what adversities have you faced or demons have you faced, and what did you do about them? I mean, you don't have to get super specific, but is there a couple times or a couple big things that just kept coming around and you had to find a way to beat it?
I mean, just life, right? Like work-life balance is hard. I'm back to working like 70, 80 hours a week right now. I unfortunately had some staffing changes at the end of last year that came up out of the blue. Can't really get into too much of that, but I wasn't prepared for it. Um, while that was going on, I touched on my dad's company a little bit. He had sold it 3 years ago, and he was in year 5 of his buyout. He was getting paid like monthly to get bought out, and they mishandled the company. They tried to scale too quick. They got involved in other aspects of the service world that they shouldn't have been in, and the company went bankrupt. So we got a call on a Friday out of the blue after we thought everything was all good, and they said, we're closing our doors today. Don't try to reach us. If you need to talk to somebody, call our lawyer. It was very cold. So there's that motivating factor, right? So I said, okay, Dad, let's spin this thing. They might have tarnished the name, but I have a whole marketing department here. We were going to do marketing for the company anyway. We're not going to get paid for it, but guess what? We're going to get what we put into it. I said, I will. You stay retired. You just help me consult. We'll spin up a new company. We'll have fun with it. So we hit the ground running. We started a new company. 9 months later, the company is profitable. I'm still able to pay my dad his buyout, which I've told him, you stay retired. I will take on the company because I can run another business. And you can get paid out to the end of time. I mean, I can't ever repay the debt that my parents, done for me. So it's super motivating to be able to help them enjoy retirement and travel and do the things that they deserve. So that's been tough, and then trying to juggle all the other aspects of my life. Feeling guilty, maybe I don't have enough, feeling like I don't have enough time with my girls, or my father-in-law took sick right around that same time. He got diagnosed with like a form of colon cancer, and he's since beat it. He has a clean bill right now, and we're praying that it stays that way. It's looking good and promising. And in the mix of all that, my wife got a brand new car like right around that time, and we woke up and a tree fell outside our house and crushed both my truck and her brand new Tesla. So life will throw you curveballs, and you just have to keep pushing. It is not easy all the time, but you have to be able to pull yourself out, and you can't expect anybody else to do that for you. So not to get too winded with all that, answering your question, but yeah, you got to fight through the adversity, man. It's all around, and if you let it get the best of you, it'll eat you up.
So how many businesses do you own?
4.
That's awesome.
4. So yeah, we got Uneek, right? Uneek Computer Services.
That's like your number one. That's your baby.
That's my baby. The chimney company is called Brass and Burn Chimney Company. It's
that's your dad's. You rebuilt.
The rebirth of the chimney care company that we once owned, and it's pretty self-sufficient. So I'm lucky with that. I own a properties company which I spun up to purchase the building here, and I'm looking to expand on that a little bit.
Nice.
And then I actually own a company with your brother Frank. That is not quite off the ground yet, but it's e-waste recycling.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually goes hand in hand with the IT side. We get a lot of electronics that come in that people need to recycle, and there's a whole another aspect of IT business in that world. So when your brother and I can get on the same page with our time, because we're both, as you know, super busy. Your
Right.
brother is just as hardworking as both you and I, if not more. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, so that's not even quite off the ground yet. It's been around for about a year. The website's up, and we have to do some marketing, kind of get word out. But I have business cards out front, people take them, and we get some business here and there. But we haven't even scratched the surface with that yet. I mean, there's so much.
And I told Frank that once he's up and running and he feels confident, there might be a Maryland chapter ready to open up as soon as he's ready.
Sounds good. There's a lot of money to be made there.
Right.
We joke about being able to clone ourselves all the time. And I'd be kept.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot lately. So you're in IT, you figure that out, and
yeah,
I can go back to coaching and doing all the fun stuff too.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I figure it out.
So you don't have to share exactly, because I don't want you to give away any trade secrets. But how do you challenge yourself to plan for the future and come up with fresh ideas for your companies?
So I'm pretty goal oriented. Like I need to check. I have a daily checklist. Like I need to check things off my list because it just keeps me motivated. It makes me feel good as I'm getting things done. Um, I do have a reset every year. So I set, anywhere from, I don't know, 8 to 15 yearly goals that I want to conquer.
Now,
I
how,
usually,
like when you set these goals, are they like big, lofty goals, or how do you kind of keep them in control of like this is something attainable, this is something that I can do? How do you keep that in perspective?
yep. So I try to be true to the idea of it all and be fair. I set a couple really that are probably out of the possibility of getting, of
And
reaching.
you have to shoot for the
Um,
stars just to reach some of those levels too, so that's important.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't set too many of those. Like maybe I set a an amount of money that I want my main company to make for that year and see how close I can get it or if I can beat it. Maybe it's something as simple as something I want to get done around the house that just I don't have free time to do. So it could be as minuscule as like I want to get a room painted in my house to I want to make, $10 million next year. Now I'm nowhere near that, but um, not even close. But
I mean, I
you
could
get what
set that
I'm
goal
saying.
too, but
Yeah, one day. So yeah, I mean, you got to be fair to yourself. You can't just set all these goals that are unobtainable. You gotta, you know, from my past, I was a little heavier. Um, I was about 130 pounds heavier than I am now, and that was a goal. Each year, I'd set, hey, I want to lose another 20 pounds, or uh, I want to make sure I work out 3 days this week, or I was really health oriented over the last probably 4 or 5 years or so. Um, like I said, I lost 130 pounds and it changed my life. Um, so that was really high on my goal list to make sure my health was considered because hey, if I'm not here to, if I'm not healthy to be here, nothing gets done around here. So
and so that was one of my next questions. Was the kind of one of the key components of this podcast has been health and fitness. So we've seen you transform. We've seen you going from Big Ant to what you are now, and you're a different person. Both, I think the last time I saw you, it had been a long time, and just like giving you a hug and saying what's up was like, man, he don't even feel the same. He don't look the same. Like it.
yeah,
So what? I mean, and there was also a streak of like gym days that you were tracking on Facebook there. That was like a consecutive streak that was insane. So talk to us about the transformation you had a little more.
yeah. So I worked out consecutively just about 4 years straight every day for 30 minutes, and that was Uh, to be open with everyone, about 7 years ago, I had bariatric surgery where they took out 80% of my stomach. So I get full a lot quicker, which really helped propel me into where I am now. The thing is, most people think that's going to fix everything, and that's not the truth. You have to use that as a tool,
Right.
which I learned. Like I took it very serious. So 7 years ago, I lost maybe a good portion of it and I felt good, but I didn't feel like I was done. So that's where my goals kind of came in. I said I can do better. I had, like I said, my first order was born, and I said I can do better. So I think I lost another like 40 or 50 pounds after that, and then I said, okay, well, I still don't feel like I got it done. Like I know I did. I'm down the weight, but I don't look the part. So just to be open with everyone, I mean, you got to do what's best for you. So I decided I wanted to have skin removal surgery done. So I had a lot of excess skin from losing so much weight. And I would encourage anybody, like, don't let anybody tell you not to do something. If you feel like it's right for you, I mean, it changed
Right.
my life. I
I mean,
feel like
just
a
that
whole,
self confidence is such a huge difference maker. I mean, if you feel if you feel like you need to change your look, if you want to look a certain way, and you go for it, that self confidence boost is insane for everything from energy levels to production to everything.
and people feel it, right? I wish I would have did it, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
It's always what you know now. But I can walk into a room and I mean, not that I want, me, I've always been a
Right.
confident person. And I joke about it all the time with another buddy of mine. I said, I was overweight most of my high school. career, I wasn't one of the ones that got made fun of. I joke and I say I kind of wish I did. Maybe it would
Yeah.
have pushed sooner to do something, but people accepted me, which I can appreciate. But yeah, I didn't really have to worry about that, so it was a struggle for me. I didn't people accepted me for who I was, so I had to kind of come up with it myself and know what I wanted for myself. But I share it because if anybody out there is thinking about it or wants some advice or just has questions, I'm happy to share my experience with them because it changed my entire life. I mean, I'm
Right.
going to be around a lot longer now. So,
Right. And there's a couple pro bodybuilders that I follow that obviously were big time into the steroid scene and were these incredible shredded 1% body fat human beings that their goal at the time was to be the biggest freak they could possibly be. But in their retirement, you see them change where they're like, no longer is it about being this shredded perfect monster, the biggest dude in the world. Now it's about longevity, and their diet changes and their workout changes. Their life just changes in such a different way that they're like, now I'm focused on trying to live forever. So, I
yeah,
mean, that's kind of where I'll probably end up is like right now, my focus is to do some certain things with my body that I'm excited for. But the time's going to come where like you're past your prime and things don't change the way you used to, and the manipulatives are a little harder to get to. So at that point, it's time to flip the switch and just focus on being there for your kids as long as possible.
yeah,
So
and
if you
that
don't mind sharing,
yeah,
yeah, if you don't mind sharing, how big were you at your biggest?
I was just about 350,
Okay.
and
And
I'm
what are you
only
now?
5'10", so I'm 215 right now. I got as low as 199 for like a day because I wanted to hit the 100. But
Yep,
I'm
there it is.
right now. I could get back down to 200 probably within a month or two, really, if I push
I mean, the
myself. But
biggest difference coming down, like the little things that you take for granted at this size now, and people don't understand at 322 where I was at and 350 where you were at is like tying your shoes and
walking up the
sitting down,
stairs,
standing up, walking up the stairs. Like,
um,
man, I run up the stairs now at work and kids laugh at me, but I'm like, because
I
I
take the
can.
stairs, yeah, all the time. I prefer the stairs. I'll walk further. Like I remember looking for the closest parking spot all the time when you go
Right,
somewhere. Now I'm parking the furthest away.
right.
Um, I remember going to Disney World with my family and just struggling to walk around the park. It's the thing. It is those things you take for granted because I don't think twice about it now. Like we went this
Right.
past year and it was great. So quality of life is super important and it does translate to everything else you do. So I'm a big advocate for that now, and I just wish I would have known sooner.
Right. And you don't realize it when you're living in that moment until you start to see some of those changes and some of those successes where you're like you're saying now, man, I wish I would have did this sooner. I feel so much better.
And until you're ready, no one can tell you otherwise. I mean,
Right.
we're very similar in that aspect. Like I have to be there. Like your
Mhm.
brother, you've all tried to push me over the years. You were encouraging, but until I was ready, I mean, I wasn't moving on it. So, I mean, just this past year, we did the what was the fast, the 72-hour fast.
Oh yeah, the water fast.
Yeah, so we did it after you did, and we had good success with it. Well, I did.
Yeah.
Shannon didn't have as much. Yeah, she was a little mad about it. I think I lost like 12 pounds, and I think she lost a pound, so she was pretty upset. So
So yeah, it was just fun for me because it was a practice and discipline that I hadn't had in a very long time. Just to be like, I don't need it. And for
yep,
other people to just tell me like, man, I could never do that. And it's like, you really could. It's not that difficult, but just like it kind of put myself in like, man, I can control so much more than I thought I could. I just went 86 hours without eating food or whatever it was. Like if I
wow.
can do that, there's a lot of things I could do. So,
Mhm. Yeah, it was interesting to try out, and I'm glad I did it. You know.
right. So we're kind of going back a little bit, balance. So you talked about work-life balance, and obviously we all sometimes work a little bit more than we want, and sometimes we spend a little less time, and the focus is always quality time, not just number of time spent, but
hmm
how do you try and balance work life and home life with your girls at home and at work?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Um, I just kind of kick into gear when there's issues. In IT, there's always issues, so I am still learning to be better.
Mhm.
I guess what I've learned just in the last year is you just have to make the time. The work will be there tomorrow. So if it's
Right.
something that can wait, it needs to wait because, hey, your kids grow older quicker. Like the time's flying by. I mean, it's March already. Um, you just try not to take things for granted and kind of understand, um, what's most important. And if thankfully I'm in a place now where I'm not as anxious with my customers, right? Like I have a good customer base and I know it can wait till tomorrow. And if it's a customer that's really pushy and they're invading my private time, then they probably shouldn't be a customer because
Boom.
I need to have a life. I'm not doing this to die here, right?
Right.
I'm doing this to make a better life for myself and my family and to have those, good times with my friends and family. So um, it's all aspect, right? Life is everything is just perspective. So um, I'm growing, I'm learning every day, and I just sometimes you just need to take a step back and realize like, all right, there's more to it than just these walls here.
Right.
So
And it kind of goes with masculinity is like gotta work. I mean, I get it, family's important, but I gotta be the one in my house that puts in the work, and I have to be an example for my kids. And I don't have girls, but my boys need to see that like you need to put in work. And maybe it's not an 8 hour day, maybe it's a 16-hour day. Some of my football hours went way over time.
mhm.
And even then, it's a great example for your daughters one day to be like, this is what a real man does, and it's important for them to see that. So
My
that's
kids, just like yours, will work for everything that's
right,
coming. They need to understand the responsibility of what they put in, they're going to get back. So, we might be in a really good position by the time they're, late teens or whatever financially, but I'm not handing them anything. They
right,
need to understand the power of a dollar and the time they put into things. I'm not going to be one of those guys. Um,
right.
they
I
gotta.
say that now, but my kids are spoiled as crap right now.
Well, we're at that age. Mine are spoiled too. But I will make sure to have those values for sure. I
Right.
know you will too.
And we're starting to instill them now. My oldest just turned 7, so we're working on those things. Logan's 7 now, and he's slowly starting to understand some of these things. Like he's got control over his birthday money, and it runs out.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't
yeah.
buy all 15 of these things.
Yeah, I can't believe he's 7. Your brother and I were talking the other day, and I was like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. But it goes by quick, man.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. Mason just turned 3, so it's kind of scary how fast that goes. But
Yeah, yeah, you're not kidding.
all right, so curveball question time.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to put you on the spot too much, but you've been a lifelong Philly fan and a Philly sports. So, what did you think of this past Eagles end of the season?
How
The debacle that was.
much time do we have? I am extremely disappointed. Not only just we could talk on the Eagles, but the Phillies too. I mean, they both fell
Yeah,
apart. I was man. I just I expected so much more. I don't know what happened with that collapse on either side, but it looks like they're still determined to do some things. I mean, they made some
right.
major moves this offseason. I'm happy with what I see so far. Um, I don't know, man. They just fell apart last year, and I was very
It,
upset for a while, but now I see them actually still putting in moves and wanting to get it done. So I don't know. It's Super Bowl or bust, right?
right. As a former head coach and obviously I'll humble myself. It was just high school. I get it. That the hardest part is trying to make sense of it all when you're not in that locker room. So you have no idea. It could be something as little as these two guys didn't get along and it caused a rift in the locker room. It could have
Absolutely.
been lack of leadership from a specific position group or lack of leadership from a strong position group or even the coaching staff. And without us being in the locker room, we don't know. So, I mean, obviously the changes at the coordinator position make me think that that's where we were lacking, or at least that was the last ditch effort for the head coaching position. I don't know. So,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, and we touched on it earlier. Personality, the people you keep around you. Yeah,
right.
it takes one bad seed sometimes, and I remember talking to a guy that used to work for the Flyers back in the '90s when they had a pretty good team, and I remember him saying that Rod Brindamore and Eric Lindros were at each other's throats. Apparently, like I don't know, Lindros like hooked up with Brendamore's wife or something like
Oh
that.
man.
End of it. That was the Legion of Doom back then. They were a good team. So yeah, I mean, something as simple. I mean, that's not a simple thing. That's a big deal, but you don't know. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So those
Right.
those guys are people too. People don't realize, somebody just had a newborn baby. Whatever. They're tired. Life happens, man.
Right.
So
They catch a lot of criticism.
yeah, yeah. But yeah,
So
you're right.
being a
Okay.
father of two girls, how many Taylor Swift concerts do you plan on going to?
I'll go to as many as they want if that's what they want to do. I
What a
mean,
good dad.
yeah, I don't know. I would do it. Maybe. Well, we'll see how one goes. I'll go for. But no, man. It's about the making the memories. If that makes them happy,
Right.
I'll suck it up and go.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all I got. Do you have any questions for me? You want to throw some curveballs my way?
Yeah, let me think. I'm not prepared, but uh, I mean, what was your toughest challenge? Uh, you know, going from being a football coach to a principal. You had to give up one to do the other, right? You had to kind of wrap your head around. You couldn't do both. What what did that? How did you come to that, and how did you deal with it? Because I'm sure you miss it, right?
Oh yeah. So I kind of knew. I mean, I was applying for things behind closed doors that the kids will probably never know. Just looking at opportunities and going through the process. I was finishing my master's at the time, which kind of I knew was ending in the route of me being an athletic director or an assistant principal. So I knew that kind of day was coming, and I was seeing my kids grow up, and they were growing up like strangers because I would not see them for. I mean, I wouldn't see my sons from. I would see them a little bit Monday evening, and then I would see them again Saturday afternoon. So I would go that long without seeing my sons. My wife was a trooper, but she was not. Lauren was not. She would never give it away, but I could tell it was eating her up that she was basically a single mom for 4 or 5 months a year.
Yeah.
Um, so I knew that was going to run dry pretty quickly, and I had put in so much time and energy into growing this program that, like, I mean, when COVID happened and we almost lost the season, if it was, we were at a point where we played 4 games that spring. If we would have not played those 4 games that spring, I would have had to rebuild the program from the ground up. Like, we were on a very close cliff to falling to full collapse. And luckily, we got to play a couple of games and string things along. But if that would have happened, I would have had to start all over and it would have killed me, or I would have just quit out of frustration. So applying and kind of going through the process and learning the process and the internship that I did as an assistant principal intern really kind of opened my eyes to that the impact that I could have that was much bigger than just the 70, 80 football kids. And I could have daily conversations with kids and parents and community members to try and help way more than just like a kid to get a D3 scholarship to a D2 scholarship, or a kid to go from backup to starter, or a kid to go from 10 touchdowns to 11. Now I can help a kid who has no shot at graduation, or a kid who hasn't eaten in a week, and I could find resources and help kids in a bigger light. So that kind of made it easier because I knew I'd have a broader impact. Um, I'm sure you saw the Jason Kelsey retirement conference.
Yeah. Yep.
I cried harder than he did when I stepped down as coach. It was ugly.
Yeah.
So telling the kids that, and again, I knew it was coming. The kids kind of had a feeling, so it wasn't like a surprise, but just for something that I invested everything I had into for 10 years to have to hand it off to somebody else who I trust, and the new head coach has done a phenomenal job. It was hard, and now it's that first season, I just tried to stay away as much as possible because I didn't want I didn't want any confusion to be caused. I didn't want to overstep my bounds. I wanted coach to run free and not have me like looking over his shoulder, or felt like I was, because I wasn't. He was someone, like I said, I trusted with the program. I trusted with everything he had done prior to that. So now that we're like a year removed, I'm a little closer to the program and I'm helping in a different facility, like a different way, but
Right.
that separation is there. So I'll pop in the weight room with them kids and throw around some weights. I'll say what's up to them, talk a little football, and if I still have some college coaching connections, I'll still make those connections. But for the most part, I can't be there every day. So the
Hmm.
kids get it.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, it's the right move. You gotta continue to grow and expand on what you can do and your reach, right? Like, it sounds like you really enjoy helping the kids and getting them to where they're going and putting them in a good place. So you're able to do that on both sides, and you just have to figure out, you know, your best methods,
Right.
in that new role. So well, it's not so new now, but yeah, I
Well, I'm
mean,
still learning like crazy. There's still new experiences every single day. There's a lot to this. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of drama, but it's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. So
good man. Now everybody's yeah, we're proud of you, man. You've come a long way, and
thank you.
it's fun to watch you from afar. I know you're not you don't live as close now, but um, always keeping tabs, always keeping an eye. Ask your brother how things are going. I'm watching your videos and seeing your past press conferences after some of the games and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Dodging water jugs and whatnot. That was fun.
Yeah, I remember that
now
one.
now I'm an assistant, so I don't get the same kind of public light, which is fine. But I also get this, and this is fun because I had it last night as I helped supervise a state semifinal boys basketball game. And somebody came up to me, they're like, "Are you security?" I was wearing like a hoodie. It's like, "No, I'm an assistant principal. I'm an administrator." And they were like, "What?" Like, yeah, I look like this. I don't
That,
have to, but that's my job. So
that's
it's
too
still
funny.
fun. And kids will mess with me in the school day. They'll be like, "How much you bench?" And I'll be like, 585. And they're like, "What?" Like, they
Yeah,
were thinking like of a high number that they could be like, "Well, I bench 400 too." And they were gonna be like, they were gonna have something
yeah,
smart to say. And I hit them with that, and they're like,
nice.
"Wow." And I'm like, "You want to see a video? I got the video." So
Perfect opportunity to teach those kids though. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover, man. People come in
right,
all forms. And, you know, I get it all the time. They're like, "You don't look like a computer guy." I'm like, "Well, that's why I do well at what I do."
right.
You everybody looks. You don't know how people look, so definitely don't judge somebody by the way they look for sure. So
All right, man.
yeah,
Well, again, I really
yeah.
appreciate you coming on and joining me here. Do you have any social media or anything you want to plug? Or are you not into that?
Just got the website. I mean, I'm not really on the social media platforms. I'm on here on TikTok. I think my social is just my name. It's just Anthony Latino Jr. So you can find me and follow me there if you want. Actually, all my socials are the same, so they're all my name. So Anthony
Nice.
Latino Jr. at the end. You can find me. So if anyone is thinking about starting a business or weight loss journey, just wants to kick around some conversation about life. I mean, I'm always game. If I got the time, I'll give it to you. But you and I both know I don't got a ton of it. So,
Right, right. Well, thanks for giving me some time tonight. I appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you soon.
all right, man, that sounds good. I appreciate your time as well, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Man, another fantastic interview. So, again, Anthony, thank you. I truly appreciate you coming on the show, sharing some things, opening up, and there's some things on there that I kind of put you on the spot a little bit. And I hope people realize this was the authentic answer, as he's a very busy person and didn't have enough time to really review the questions that I had put out there. So, again, appreciate the conversation, appreciate your support, and appreciate you doing a little bit of homework and reading up on the podcast. So I'm recording this outro a couple days after, and I can tell you that he's already been a huge help for me. So since that episode that we recorded together, since he's watched a couple, he's already sending me resources and ideas, and we're setting up meetings to kind of grow this thing even further. So again, he just cannot keep himself from making people around him better and continuing to mentor me. And again, I truly appreciate it, and we will continue, and someday we'll probably have to have him on again, because I feel like this is just him scratching the surface, and he's going to really blow up from here. So always like to end each episode with a quote. So this one I found on the wonderful World Wide Web, of all places, go figure. The quote of the week: "I don't worry about the haters. They are just angry because the truth I speak contradicts the lie they live. I'll repeat. I don't worry about the haters. They're just angry because the truth I speak contradicts the lie they live. Steve Maraboli. Wow, that's a powerful one. So I don't worry about the haters, because when I am speaking my truth and what reality I live in, the haters don't believe it. They don't seem to understand it. I can't tell you how many people doubted me, how many people talked negatively as I approach things as a football coach and as a teacher and as an administrator. And I look at those things, and sometimes there's constructive criticism there that I can be like, all right, I can learn from that, I can do better. But other times there's this little fire inside of me that kind of gets bigger and grows, because, well, just because you tell me I can't do it doesn't mean that I won't try, or it doesn't mean that I can't actually do it. So sometimes when people tell me, oh, we've all tried that before, it didn't work, you'll never be able to pull that off here. I can't tell you how many times as a football coach I was told I'd never be successful here for whatever reason. Man, those same people sounded a little bit differently when we went to state semifinals and we had 2 10-win seasons and we had an undefeated season and all these accolades and these kids going Division I football and the program just growing and growing and growing. Those same people that told me I wouldn't make it, or the program just wasn't built for success, singing quite a different tune. And some of the biggest haters that were on the other sideline, sorry, we got you a couple times. So love the haters, love to make them the motivators, as we always say. Things are going to grow from here. So the podcast itself, there's some new things that I hope to be kicking off this week. And if things sound a little different or strange or look different, that's because new things are happening. So next week there's another interview lined up. Really excited for that one. I think it's going to have a strong sentimental value. I don't want to speak on it yet because some things sometimes fall through. So looking forward to that. Another great Tuesday. So now's your opportunity. If you listen on this as the day it comes out, now's your opportunity to reset yourself. The Monday sorrows are over. It is Tuesday. It's time to reconquer the week, set your plan, and get ready to make every day yours. With that said, have yourself a great Tuesday. I'm out.